Do what now, gentlemen? So you said put my hand on my abdomen?
Okay, I'm trying to get this straight. I got a house full now.
Because he's telling me to do something. Like a spiritual energy. And then rub it or whatever. For it to bring energy to your chakra. Because he said there's like 12 or 13.
Hey, what's the guy? Damn, y'all so beautiful. Y'all just missing me. I need these because I know how to copy and paste shit. I'm gonna put me right in the center. Look at y'all. These are OGs of the family. Yeah. These are OGs of the family. Look at that. Go ahead, dude. Hey, yeah, the OGs. Yeah, little sister of like 15, like 18 kids.
Those are the OGs of the family.
That's why you fucking for us to do is trying to have a baby. I ain't mean to tell you laugh like that, but we get it. Oh, you so I look at you. I think you're the governor of Massachusetts. Boston, Massachusetts. The governor of Boston, Massachusetts.
Who, Angel?
Yeah. She can't tell you what out of the table. Which one you want? You hear me?
Oh, when she went to her executive meeting?
Yeah, I'm trying to find. I'm going to the house to go put some long way. So she ain't putting on those long. I said, yeah, you were chilling for a younger man. That's my nephew. Had a little woman find over her house. That's what he did to her. Oh, that's that gas I was telling you about. That is magnificently she mom. No, that was like a week ago. I'm about 2-3 weeks ago. What does it look like now? I ain't seen. I seen it. Let me see that. What is that? That's what I'm saying. What is she doing? You to make it? It don't matter. Oh, like I just got her out there. No. Don't put your face in this face. Don't put your face in the bit. Not people in the face.
Oh yeah, you better warn him, Angel. Zeus could bite him.
Okay, give me the switch. That's that bullshit. That's that bullshit. What did you do to her? No, she just wanted to play. It got affected. So you really want some right here.
Y'all, this is another phone chronicle, y'all. This is a loud one. This is a loud one. This is a black gathering, y'all. Please click a like. This is a black gathering. Listen to it. Someone is saying, hello, mommy. Hi, mommy. FBI. Or let me see, Fed. Not FBI. Oh, it does say FBI. Hold on. FBI-1-1-8. Hello to you. Thanks for saying hi, mommy. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for the like. This is a black gathering at Miss Angel's house, y'all. One of the phone chronicles. And this is the version where they're not fighting, y'all. They're not fighting. You told him about your business, Angel? Oh, he is? So the young man that was talking to me, where did he go? Because he didn't finish telling me about the chakras.
Come on now.
Come on now. You were saying it was like 13. Put my hand on my abdomen and do circles. You didn't finish that off, gentlemen. What happened?
Which was shooting for? I we just started at the that's the circle.
He done got sidetracked.
Oh, when he said, listen, how the ballot already won. Let's see what I got.
Miss Angel was telling her nephew to get out of Zeus' face so Zeus don't bite him, that's a good thing. You got to let people know how your dogs are. Be honest with people. If your dog bites and your dog got mental problems, your dog is easily triggered, your dog has an anger management problem, you got to warn your guests. You got to warn your guests. So that was the right thing to do.
Okay, Irene, I'm going to call you back.
Okay. Okay, bye-bye. Yeah, with that many people over, it's just best to get off the phone. Thank you so much for the like. Yeah, we was having some interesting conversations. Miss Angel was telling me about her situation, because a lot of her siblings and stuff that are her mother's other kids, she's actually recently, over the last several years, getting to know them better. So we was talking about family conflict. And this part was not on a phone chronicle. I had introduced her to my sister. My sister was fairly quiet, not very engaging. I just was trying to do the polite thing. Miss Angel, I've met her sisters and I talked to her sister, one in particular that I enjoy talking to on the phone. That's pretty talkative and likable and stuff. And so sometimes Miss Angel, her sister and my sister, or not my sister, me, myself, Miss Angel, and her sister will talk. So today, or actually it would have been yesterday, because today is the 13th at 3:23 a.m. So it was actually yesterday I called and introduced my sister to Angel. So she didn't really talk much or whatever, but I ended up doing this last phone chronicle, the video that's like an hour, the last live that I did. That's a phone chronicle with my sister and I discussing the issue. And with family, yeah, you can go no contact, but sometimes it's okay. It's easy to go no contact with family, y'all. But what's harder to do is to give your perspective of why you did things the way you did it. Family members won't always like the way you did something. So that last phone chronicle is pretty interesting. So that would be a good one for y'all to go watch. The one I did yesterday that ended at right before 10:15 or 10:09 or something like that. So after I did that phone chronicle and that video, I ended up going to get something to eat as well. So as a result, when I went to go get something to eat, I went out to eat. I was talking to Miss Angel and she was telling me some stuff about her family and what she's going through with her sisters. So yeah, so just ultimately what you want to do with family members, especially when you got relatives that love that predator. When you have a relative that loves the predator, and I explain what a predator is. I explained what that was on the last video, but anyone can be predatory in behavior and in their the way they are towards you. So a predator doesn't have to be an animal. So a predator, of course, in animals, is an animal that hunts, kills, and eats other animals. However, it can also describe a person or business that harms, tricks, or exploits weaker people for their own gain. Um, it's also considered someone that's cruel, unusually cruel. Um, and of course, they're always going to mention lions. Um, a predator, from my perspective, too, they do understand somewhere in their soul that the way that they're treating you is not proper. There's a part of them that because they know what they are, right? So it's a part of them that knows what they are. um they may not care much about it, but anyone that you consider callous or kind of predatory in nature, anyone that was really like you could consider part of your life, all of your life, especially when you are a child and they show predatory behavior, you can have a predatory grandmother. So the rule, you have to do this one thing. You have to do this one thing. And I do it perfectly. Okay, I do it perfectly. I've been doing it since I escaped my grandmother. And that emotional abuse, I got off her narcissist hours. I did a video about that. It's a term I use when you're on the narcissist hours. And people won't be happy that you got free of people. So never let anyone in your house, and never be alone with anyone for large periods of time. Keep these relationships with any predator. When my sister continued to be raised by my grandmother, she's what you call sort of brainwashed. Okay, so always keep them out your house. And this is why. It's not because my sister could come visit and not unalive me. She may not do anything bad, but anyone that's pro predator is not someone that needs to be in too close a contact with you if you want to live a healthy life and your goal is to lead a primarily abuse-free life. There's always going to be situations for some people where people will try to start abuse, but go back to that last live. It will be very interesting. It's okay to explain yourself, try to get them to understand your perspective. But if the person is pro-predator, which means they are on the predator side, it would be like equivalent to a person that raped you when you was young. And and I've seen those situations too. I know an elderly lady that will sit up and talk to her ex, and what he did to her relative was sexual in nature. And she will sit up and talk to that man. She's pro-predator. The victim that her ex came onto, I don't think contacts her much. She's an elderly lady. Always keep them out your home. Always. This is a challenge that people won't always obey or be up to, or be even sometimes it's something that you're scared to do, but that is the trick to it. And when you do that, you will be able to maintain what do you call it? Minimal no contact. So you may be able to meet, like I could go to St. Louis, Missouri and hang out with my sister and we eat together. It doesn't destroy the entire relationship. You can talk on the phone, but never let anyone enter your residence. I'm going to say this again. that has a liking for, they're in defense of your ex-abuser. I don't care if it's your grandmother or who it is. I'm lucky I got out of there safely. You also do not owe anyone that has abused you a second go around. You don't owe them a second go around. You don't have to meet them in the next life and give them another chance. Marco Spiga, 9689. You said he and 67. Thank you. Thank you so much for that 67 and he. Yeah, it's the truth. You don't have to meet them in another lifetime. Give them a chance. Click a like too. Click a like too, please. Thank you, Marco Spiga. Click a like if you can, if you haven't already clicked it. Yeah, you don't have to do all that. You got to go back and watch that last live. My sister was very critical of me. You know, I did leave. But what's better to do? Put in notice, let grandma know you leaving, or should you stay there and in several more years attempt to throw the elderly woman out the window? What's the better choice? The way I did it or the way baby sis did it? Because she's very judgmental just because I grew up and moved out. But she's not as judgmental of the violent act that she could have potentially did upon a woman that's 70-some years old at the time. And see, if you just go no contact, and you just go no contact, because the Lord don't always want you to go no contact. Sometimes the Lord wants you to tell him just what I said I told her. She's judging me for escaping the lady, my own grandmother. The lady smothered me out with a pillow when I was 9 years old. But I still gave her notice, moved out, and I did not lay my hand on that elderly lady, my own grandmother. But my sister is devaluing that move. Instead of devaluing that she stayed around, used the lady, okay? Because that's what my sister was doing. She had a mother house and a father. And if push came to shove, even if she would have had to reach out and ask my mother or her father, her biological parents, if she could stay, they would have let her say, thank you so much for the likes, y'all. I appreciate that. So, like I told y'all, my grandmother was a narcissistic sociopath. So I know what she is, and it's not good to necessarily be raised by one of them. But my little sister, you know, she said she just want to let it go because I brought up what she did. That's what you do. Let's start talking about what they do. Let's stop talking about that I moved out and I had a baby and I was an adult and I felt like I needed to provide for myself and move on with my life. I was unhappy. I was being neglected. I didn't want any more violent attacks coming from my grandmother. And the reason you got to leave these situations is because you're not going to stay 9 years old, right? I'm not going to keep letting her smother me out. So I left. My little sister stayed. She was a teenager. She was only 16 years old. My grandmother kept calling all kind of bitches and stuff, all kind of horrible names. But what I did was the better option. My little sister didn't plan to do that. She didn't plan it. It's not planned. It's a heat of the moment thing. She didn't throw her out the window. There was no bruises on my grandmother. Yeah, it probably scared her, but there was no bruises or cuts or anything like that on my grandmother because someone intervened and stopped it. Okay, someone stopped it. But, you know, if you go no contact, nobody ever tells them the truth, right? Nobody ever tells them the truth. Oh, my sister was holding that in for a long time. Left her when she was down. She should take that same harsh comment and talk to herself about how she can throw a little elderly woman out the window. Because at that time, my grandmother had lost all that weight too. My grandmother was a little bitty woman and wasn't that big no more. She was a little bitty little thing. Little bitty little lady. So it's all a bad deal. I didn't stay around for the show. And that's what they mad about. Also, there's a money situation. I want you to pay attention to this, right? So whenever there is a money situation involved, hold on, y'all. Let me get the charger. My sister had mentioned she wanted some money and she'll send it. She'll pay me back next year. I'm not giving her a dime. She never sent me any money when she was working, and she volunteered to send me something. And then when I started getting my money embezzled, my sister said she was grouchy and said she got to do it next payday. Now those funds may not be as easily available due to my sister's, circumstances that she's going through right now. I don't want any money from my sister, but it's sometimes about that money. So I didn't send my sister any money. See, when you're not a supply source, that's how they talk to you, y'all. They're not really mad about what they think they're mad about. They mad because you're not giving them your money. And that's what it basically boils down to. So never let the pro-predator through your door. A pro-predator shouldn't have your home address. I've lived like this a very long time. Let me go get my charger, y'all. Let me get my charger. Hold on. And what I do with people, y'all, let me tell you another thing I do, right? When someone is pro-predator, I have something that I'll do with them. And what I'll do is I'll ask them a trick question. I'll just randomly pick one. I don't plan it. I just ask them a trick question. So I asked my sister, I said, when I had my daughter, why did you notice that my grandmother never babysat my daughter? I never left my daughter alone with my grandmother. And it's possible, y'all. You can live with someone and have a baby and never leave that person alone with your child. It's possible. Never leave your child alone with anybody that almost was willing to unalive you when you were a child. It's not rational to do that. So, what I'll do with people that are pro predator, pro abuser, whatever you want to call them, I'll ask them little trick questions, and I'll just pick one that comes to mind. Let me see how intelligent you are, right? So I asked my sister this. I said, because she would have noticed it. So I said, why did I not leave my daughter with my grandmother? My sister said, well, because she was working. I said, no, that's not why. I didn't trust her. I didn't think my grandmother was a safe person. I left my daughter with my sister, but I also told my sister that when she leave from the part, take my daughter with her. Yes, you can ask me a question, Ava. See, you sure can. And on here, I answer questions for free. Just be respectful. I'm open to, even if you think the question could be kind of bad, just ask it anyway. Just make sure it's not no troll stuff. Just make sure, because I don't recognize you being in here before. Just don't be a troll asking a question. As long as you're not a troll, your question should be fine. Because you're not on here to abuse me. My moderator's not here today, so it's late. She's asleep. So because my moderator's not here, it opens me up to more trolls. And if my moderator, since my moderator's not here, Ava, see, if you ask me kind of two out there that is definitely, I will know if it's not good in nature, I will have to block you. So just ask whatever you want. Just make sure you're not a troll. I'll have to do it because my moderator's not here. I can have my moderator, I can check with her, and you be unblocked later. I could ask her. I would check in with my moderator. But since my moderator's not here, if you are a troll, I'm just going to click block because I have to continue with the video. So go ahead, ask the question. Ask me whatever you want to. But I will know if it's a troll question. So go ahead, type it. But if you know you're a troll and you don't want to be blocked, then don't ask it. Because I don't want to have to block you. But I'm not going to be a moderator today. So since my moderator is not here, my moderator is here on 90% of my videos. But it is 3-something in the morning. So my moderator got a life and she's asleep or getting her day prepared right now. It's 3:44 a.m. on a Thursday. Go ahead, ask the question. Thank you so much for the like. I appreciate the likes. Ava C, no question. I always warn people, y'all. I warn them. So it sounds like he or she took heed to the warning and they don't want to be blocked. That's what it sounds like to me. Unless they're typing a long question. The question could be long in nature, and so it's just taking them a while to type. It could be that too. Or Ava stepped away from their device and had to use the restroom. It could be a number of things. But I asked my sister, I said, why didn't I leave my daughter with my grandmother? She said, because she was working. No, it's because I didn't trust her. See, you got to go into the detective part of your brain, right? And observe more. And it's a reason why, right? Another good thing to do in life is because there's a clear difference of treatment, between my sister and myself. And it will be times where my sister is expressing that my grandmother actually showed some level of affection towards my sister, right? And so, when people are telling you story, look at the racial dynamics as well. So, and this is something I'll probably address a little later. So, my grandmother was a very, very, very dark skinned woman, right? And when I was at the restaurant before I took my daughter and escaped, it was Mitch there. He was like a dark, dark caramel, not Hershey colored chocolate bar yet, but dark, dark caramel. And then my grandmother was very, very dark complected. Okay. She's more on the darker of the dark chocolate, right? Beautiful skin complexion. However, my sister, I'm light skinned. I look more like my mama. My mama's dark skinned, but not as dark as my grandmama. Okay, my grandmama is darker than my mother, but my sister and my grandmother, they share similar complexions, so they're more on the dark, dark chocolate side. My sister and my grandmother, they can get pretty dark. They got beautiful complexions, but the thing with this is not all dark people, especially dark skinned people of that era, felt so beautiful, right? So you got to remember the white man started all that color difference. The light skin is better, the dark skin, but they started all that. That goes way back to slavery. And remember, my grandmother was born and raised in a slave state in Alabama. I know the slave master's name and everything. Thomas McKinstry. What a fucked up dude. He was a slave master. He should, oh, Natalie, I was just talking about you. Happy Thursday and beautiful Thursday to you. See, my moderator's here, y'all. So I was just talking about you because I mentioned you, Natalie, because that, I don't know if if you read this comment yet. Ava C says, can I ask you a question? And I went on to say, yeah, you can. So the topic of today, I did a live, the last live I did. My little sister makes this comment that I left my grandmother when she was down. You know, the grandmother that smothered me. You know, Natalie. So, you know, this is my sister. She's pro predator. And to even think that way, see, this is why I want to cover these series and talk more about tardation. I looked the word up, Natalie. Retarded is really kind of graphic to me. It's like that bastard word, right? But if you look up tardation and you keep scrolling down, it gives a description of meaning slow or delayed. So so you actually can say tarded without saying retarded. Yeah, I did. I sure did. Natalie, she don't believe me. You got to pay attention to the real demon in the room, right? She's not going to validate that wicked woman did that to me. It's a dark-skinned, light-skinned girl battle. My sister's real dark-skinned too. It's racism. It's a form of racism. I'm going to go over that with her. I might do a phone chronicle about it. I think I'm going to text that to her. I sent her this text, Natalie. Okay, so let me read you the text. Because what I did, she talked about leaving when she down. I had a baby. I got to go. My grandmother refused to leave. The bank is posting notices that the sheriffs and the police is going to be coming. It's time to go. You cannot continue to stay at a business when the bank has taken the business. They done took your stuff. You got to go. My grandmother refused to leave. She also, Natalie, let me tell you this, and everyone, she also called us homeless again. And I asked her, she did it. It wasn't on, remember, some of the lives I record as unlisted because the conversations, I want to make sure that the live is right. Yes, so she did that again. That was just this weekend. She did that again. So what I did, I continued to let her talk. And once again, because remember, she did it already. And remember, you pointed out, Natalie, that she shouldn't be doing that. So she called me homeless again, us homeless. And so I let her talk because she was talking about another subject. And so after I listened to her talk, I asked her, why does she keep calling us homeless when we're not? And why do you keep calling Daniel homeless? Now, also, Elijah, he's gotten an extended 2-week stay at his property. Remember, Elijah was supposed to be out of his apartment. The sheriff told him to leave by the 10th. Elijah went and talked to his lawyer, and they gave Elijah a 2-week stay. Elijah could be homeless because I refused to let Elijah back in the house. But I talked to Elijah. He got a 2-week stay. Yes, thanks for remembering, Natalie. But, and that's the thing with my lives, and these lives here, not just my lives, our lives here. It's a good thing to keep up with them because it's like as the world turns and it's educational and you keep getting the story. So she explained again why she keep calling us that. And once again, I explained Daniel's not homeless. I told her, I said, let me give you an example. I told my sister Tina, I said, when I was living at my grandmother's in the residential part, if I would have stayed at Peaches or Shauna House, I say Shauna House for a month, was I homeless? Because I used to do this. I used to be over at my best friend's house. We used to stay the summers with each other. So my bestie growing up, Shauna, she would stay at the restaurant for a month that summer, and then I would go to her house. It was like they were switching us off, okay? And doing like an exchange. So I said, was I homeless? So, of course, the answer is no. So what's the difference? I have a residence, and Daniel's name is under other occupants. So why is Daniel homeless? She continues to call us homeless, right? And I asked her why she was doing it. That's that narcissistic sociopathic attitude. So that's where I can say my sister is showing the same nature. Narcissistic sociopaths, they don't like to stop doing what you ask them to do. Oh, I'm going to point this out. Now, in an educational setting, Natalie, speaking of educational, I found this moderator video that I'm going to do a video about, and I want you to watch the video because it's telling you something you need to do to continue your moderator status. It's something I think they're going to email you, right? It's an email. So go to your Gmail because it's a something you need to accept. YouTube guidelines. So you need to click on something saying that you accept it, and you do that through, it should come through Gmail or your notifications. I'm going to do a separate video and go over the video. It's a 4-minute video. So Natalie and everyone, just so you know, but this is mainly directed towards Natalie since she's my moderator. I watch YouTube trainings. So I've watched YouTube training videos and updates from other content creators about YouTube updates. And so that one came across. So because I have a moderator now, I clicked on it. It was interesting. So it's a 4-minute video, and it mentions, it was a little confusing to me. So I felt like Natalie may understand it a little better. But the bottom line is, check your email, your Gmail, and your notifications, and your message links in your device. Because sometimes those notifications can come through messages. Not messenger, but messages. Like this device has messages, almost like a text messaging text messaging stream. So check that. But I'll go over the video, Natalie, because we want to make sure that you're what I don't want to happen is you haven't clicked on that and then I'm not allowed to keep you blue. Because YouTube can take the blue off if you don't accept that whatever. So just check your Gmail. It probably would have came within the past month because I think you've been on blue for about a month now, month and a half. So just check it and go back through your old email. So thank you for that, Natalie. Thank you for being here. And I was talking about you before you came in because I told that Ava C dash K5Q to be careful what he asked because my moderator wasn't here and I was just gonna have to block him because I didn't have a moderator here. Oh, good, the wrench is on. I told him my moderator wasn't here and I told him you was asleep. You got a life, you know. I wasn't downgrading that you wasn't here, Natalie. I just said my moderator's not here and I'm not getting ready to be a moderator today because I'm not the moderator of the channel. So since I'm not the moderator of the channel, I'm not going to act as the moderator and communicate with the person. I'm just going to block them. So that's what I said. And then within 2 to 3 minutes, you showed up. Like there's just some kind of spiritual energy. You know, I swear. It's been like this since day one. Since day freaking one. Remember before you had the blue wrench, they would just run when you came or when you was here, they didn't show up, or if I threaten them and you come in, now they're scared to talk or something. You didn't check these motherfuckers, Natalie, outside. You got all these motherfuckers in your basement, don't you? Yeah. Every motherfucking troll is in Natalie's basement. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Or they're in mine. Shit. Or they're in my garage. You got them in your basement. They're in my garage. But I'm doing the blame game, y'all. I'm blaming it, you know, on my moderator, but I really got them. I've done all the research on these trolls. Yeah, so my sister again. So this last live that ended yesterday at 10:15, you got to listen to that one. Because I was just brutally honest. Yeah, I left. I had a daughter. I couldn't get my grandmother. You don't have to stay somewhere where some elderly lady is refusing to leave and there's no electricity, the water is unsafe, and it's smoldering hot. It's so hot. The humidity, and it was so hot in St. Louis, Missouri that summer, I gotta go outside to get air. I gotta go to the outside hot weather to get out this freaking heat. So, you know, I don't know what people go through, but I don't regret my decision. I'm still right here where I moved. I'm still in the same state. Well, see, the problem is, so Natalie says, what would have been the better option for you to stay? Natalie says we move in silence. Hold on one second. Hold on, I'm checking more comments. Natalie says, thank you for the information. Natalie, of course, said I think he got scared. Thank you for the crying and laughing emojis. Those are cute. Natalie says, right. Natalie says, SHH. Oh, what does SHH mean? You know, I'm behind. I'm learn. You know, I always learn from you, Natalie, what the abbreviations mean. So thank you for putting the abbreviation. So it helps teach me the new updated stuff. Just like on one live, I was saying roll up, and Natalie was like, nah, pull up. I think Natalie's a little younger, so she keeps me up to date on the new shit. So I'm not like one of them OGs where I'm like saying like my shit sounding too old. You know what I mean? So she keeps me updated on the new shit, you know. And you could be any age to do that. I mean, I know like 70-year-olds that they just keep up to date on the new language, you know. So let me see. Checking everything. Um oh, Natalie says don't say anything. Yeah. And we move in silence. Yeah. Yeah, it's just my sister, she called back and she said she understood. I had my daughter. See, it's the role. It's the role that a person has you in the picture they paint. Thank you so much for the likes, y'all. 5 likes. Yay. Yay. Natalie, thank everybody for the likes too. That's a lot of likes for this channel. And it does help when I get those many likes. It helps me get like 100 views, over 100 views versus like 20 or 30 views. So thank you. Oh, Natalie says 6 likes on her end. Great. So thank you for the 6 likes. Natalie says the topic is interesting. So in the last live that I did yesterday, last night, the one before this one, you could hear my sister and I talking, and I recorded the voicemail I left her. And that was really interesting. I should maybe I should play that. You know, because at this point, it's bringing out my Scorpio sarcasm, right? So I'm like, what would have been better, sis? To stay and do what you did and pick the little lady up and attempt to throw her out of a window? What should I have done? Should I have done it your way? Is your way the better way, sis? So this is the voicemail I left her. Hold on. Hello, y'all. I am back again for another. So I'm playing the last live I did. So listen, this is what I left her. This was the voicemail I left her. Okay. Hello, y'all. Again for another live. So, y'all. Family members will say things. So I'm gonna start here. I'm gonna start because with my sister, we've gone through these rodeos. So I'm gonna start here by allowing y'all to hear the messages that I will leave. And that's the only way. My sister will have to listen to the messages and just sit on the messages. So I'm gonna start, okay? It's almost there, y'all. Listen, this is going to be an interesting message. Wait till y'all hear it.
Please leave your message for...
Hello, Tina. I sent you the text messages and stuff as well. So this is the thing, Tina. Sometimes you hold in stuff in your soul that you may feel like you need to get out. So you got that out. You said that I left my grandmother when she was down. That's the way you're going to paint the picture. You know, our grandmother was good at that too. But the fact of the matter is, Tina, I had a daughter, and the environment was very emotionally corruptive. That entire summer, that last summer I was there with our grandmother, all she did was sit downstairs and talk to Mitch. She constantly ignored Snooky and myself. See, the environment, this is what you got to understand, Tina. People have a nature to them, right? And what our grandmother's environment offers is not in agreement with who I am. Okay. My grandmother was not a praying woman. She was very emotionally neglectful. I've also expressed to you, since I had been grown, I came out and told you that she almost unalived me when I was 9 years old. Now you're stating that I left her when she was down. We all were down. I was down, Snooky was down, and so was my grandmother. But she was a very demonic, neglectful, abusive, violent, dangerous woman to be living with. Now, this is the thing. You stated as well, Tina, that I left her when she was down. However, you stayed around her. I just left and said goodbye. However, you took it upon yourself to pick the little lady up, our grandmother. You picked the little lady up and you attempt to throw her out of a window. So what's better? To become an adult, move on with your life, start paying your own bills, take yourself or your child and leave. In my case, I had a child. You didn't have a child. You had a mother and a father home that you could have went to instead of choosing to pick your grandmother up and attempt to throw her out of a window. Okay? So you painted like I'm such the bad granddaughter, but I can't top you off because you don't even know how to keep your hands off your grandmother. So I didn't do any of that. I just packed my things, talked to the lady, and got up out of there. I visited my grandmother, but nobody has to stay around when you are down when it's an abusive environment. All our grandmother cared about was Mitch in that building. See, material things don't mean to me what it means to her.
Your recording has reached the maximum length. To replay your message, press home. Your message.
So that's the message I left her. And that's in the beginning of the last live I did. So if y'all want to hear it again, it's right in the beginning of the last live. The last live is like an hour and 28 minutes. It shouldn't still keep going on now since I've exposed what she did to me. So see, once I alert everybody what she did when I was 9, I left her when she was down. I should have been out of there at 9. Remember, I told y'all this before, it's the wrong placement. And see, the reason, what I do, narcissistic sociopaths, they can't handle too much at one time. Okay, you got to give it to them in bits and pieces. So what my sister should be asking herself, this is what I do. And I'm a Scorpio, so I'm Natalie, yeah, thank you. Professional allows for reflection. And I got self-control of myself because you should have heard the messages I left her last year. She had me so, and I called her a homosexual. I apologized to her. She is homosexual. She's a stud. So, and there's this power dynamic with that. You know, like I'm not one of your bitches, dog. Right? So, you know, she can stop this psychological warfare. I'm not one of your girlfriends, okay? But she's used to having control of her bitches. My sister's a stud. No problem with that. I don't care if she's a stud. I just care that you like this predator, right? So, y'all read the chats and comments because my moderator's talking to y'all. So pay attention to that. I don't have to be so hyper vigilant about the comments because my moderator came in. That's why I told that potential troll. I hope it wasn't a troll, but he or she made themselves look like a troll because when I told them I would have to block them because my moderator wasn't here, suddenly they didn't ask the question. And I would have been open to whatever question long as it wasn't do you suck booty at the zoo? Now that's a troll question. So that's why I was letting the person know I'm going to know a troll question. Okay. So if you ask me if I suck booty at the zoo and you don't specify whose booty it is on top of it, like, is it a human booty? Is it, am I talking about my own booty? And I can't reach my booty. Is it the lion booty? Is it the bear? You know, like I'm going to know it's a troll question. So that person behaved like a troll. It's just like Dr. King, Dr. Martin Luther King. When I got a playlist on the Dr. King issues too, go in there and look at it. When they threatened him, whatever gentleman threatened him and said, hey, you know, if you go to this rally, I'm going to let them know who your boyfriend is. And so Dr. Martin Luther King backed out the rally. Okay, he backed out because he had a boyfriend. Dr. King had fucking a boyfriend. And he was writing his little speeches and, all the we shall overcome shit. His man was writing all that shit. It's in my Dr. King issues. I got a Dr. King issues playlist. Go in there and watch it. All the evidence. 2027, Trump is releasing the J. Edgar Hoover files. So you're going to be able to read at the exact moment in time when Dr. King is asking somebody to suck his dick. Dr. Martin Luther King is a fucking demon. He's a demon, right? So it's unfair. Oh yeah, Natalie says I never knew any of that. Boy, I had snacks going through some of your playlists. Yes, amen. Yeah, my playlists are extensive. And remember, typically, except for a couple of my playlists where I put like some junk videos that I want to go through, which one of those junk storages place would be the Austin Metcalf playlist. So I got to work on that one. So not every video in there have I watched, but on most of my playlists, 90% of every video that's on my playlist, I've watched it completely before it made it to my playlist. So keep that in mind. My playlist comes from what I've actually watched. And it doesn't mean I agree with everything in their video because it makes it to my playlist. I just try to put videos in my playlist that are watchable from the beginning to the end. Like my videos. I think my videos are interesting enough where you can watch it from the beginning to the end. Yes, so that's what I was telling the troll. That and so he did the troll did the same thing that Dr. King did. When I threatened him, he backed off. Or when I stated what the consequence would be. It wasn't a threat. It was a threat of a consequence. Oh, Natalie, thank you for saying thank you so much for all you do. I appreciate it. I appreciate you so, so much. And thank you for all you do, Natalie. I'm so grateful for you. And I was okay if you would have been asleep or whatever. No problem. But what I'm not going to do is play around with trolls on videos when you're not able to be here, because that's tarded. That's tarded, not retarded, but remember I said I'm going to call it tarded. That's kind of tarded for me to sit up and you'll be looking at the video like, why the fuck is she fighting with the trolls while I'm not on the video? Like, damn, like calm down, ma'am. So you'll be wondering about my mental stability, right? So, and I'll be wondering about it too. I mean, I'm not drunk or high right now, so it's just I don't need to be doing it. But thank you so much for coming in, Natalie. So yeah, the playlist is called the Dr. King issues, and so there's some videos about Malcolm X in there. They're just thrown in there because I'm gonna create a separate playlist about Malcolm X. So if you ever go in my playlist and it says Dr. King issues and you see Malcolm X in there, I know that that's not Dr. King. I have not lost my mind. It's just that I'm building my Malcolm X playlist, and sometimes that playlist is still in private. And so I'm kind of like dumping it just right here because I'm kind of rushing and I got other stuff to do. Because, I got I think I got 200 to 300 playlists. So my playlists, I took time to build those, and I have an extensive playlist. I do. So some people could not like my lives. Some people do that too. They don't like my lives and they just come here for my playlist. I have subscribers that will do that. There's a certain percent of my subscribers that just come here for my playlist. They sure do. And there's nothing wrong with it. Whatever they're coming here for, that's what they're coming here for. And that's why I consistently add to the playlist, because of that. So thank you, Natalie, for the smiling emoji. I love you and I appreciate you. So oh my God, I gotta do a feeding you ugly new video. Remember the feeding you ugly lives? Oh my God, I gotta the feeding you ugly. I got one I gotta show y'all. This one is feeding you ugly, and she's tarted. It see a lot of the 600-pound lifers, not all, but many of them are suffering from retardation, mild to severe. Whatever category, just call them all severe. If you are 600 pounds, you are severe. But the weight alone is not what makes you retarded. The weight alone does not make you retarded. So there's this one sister, oh my God. Oh my God, my retarded disability episodes, I'm loving it because it makes me so more understanding, right? I'm like, your heart just goes out because you know that there's a serious condition that's beyond, you know, human intellectual capacity. It's just beyond it. So yeah, going back to my sister, um, so the color spectrum with this. So my mother is dark skinned, but not on. She's like in the middle of the chocolates. See, you got about four different type of chocolates. You got the Hershey colored chocolate bar. Then you got the getting a couple of shades darker. Then you got that medium chocolate. Then you got the dark chocolate. So my grandmother would be the dark chocolate. My mother would be like medium chocolate. So my mother's skin, you know, that real pretty chocolate, they always going into the black. That's why they call us black and they call white people white. So that's where when you get into that dark pretty chocolate, that's when they become black. All of them, even the darkest looking African that appears black to you, like literally black, he's still dark brown. None of them are literally black. They still are an extreme dark brown. They're just the darkest of brown. You know how you had those dark browns that look black, okay? But it's still technically dark brown. So with situations, and this may come up later. So there's a difference in treatment. When my sister, came back from Alabama that summer when I left, she was in Alabama when I was on the Narcissist Hours, when the restaurant was closed. Go back and watch the Narcissist Hours. It will be a very good video to help you understand the abuse that occurs. So when my sister came back, in some of the videos that she found, she's hanging out at the restaurant, it's closed. She's very comfortable with Mitch, which was the man that was there with my grandmother. James didn't like Mitch. Okay. So my father didn't like Mitch. Okay. So, but Mitch can be around whenever the fuck he wants to because the male is dead, right? Yeah, exactly. Different shades. Now I range from high yellow to light caramel. I have photos of me when I was little where I was just about like a middle caramel. So it depends on my tan, right? I tan pretty easy. So it just depends. So with that being said, whenever, and because I'm a Scorpio, I'm able to do this naturally, right? I'm able to, why is this? I'm putting this fan on. It's hot, y'all. Hold on. Because I'm a Scorpio, I'm able to do it naturally, which means, and I'll explain what I do naturally. Hold on one second, y'all, so I can explain what I do naturally so it makes more sense. And Natalie's a Virgo, so it's something she'll be able to pay attention to too. Virgos and Scorpios, we're good at pattern recognition. So, for example, if someone tells me about their situation, whether it's abuse or non-abuse, but if it's abuse, I will be able to point out the difference in that victim that maybe was different from the abuser. So, say for example, and this goes on too, the weight abuse. The weight abuse. So, a clear example would be this: a white girl tells me that she was treated real bad. She's got blonde hair, blue eyes. She was treated pretty bad. I actually know of a situation similar to this. So I'm explaining someone's story without going into the complete story. So the bottom line was she's blonde hair, blue eyed. You will see it on some of the missing kids too. These little girls, these little white girls, blonde hair, blue eyes that become missing. Sometimes they will be coming up missing from these obese, morbidly obese families. And some of them will be raped, tortured, impregnated, all kind of things will happen. But what I will be able to do is look at that situation. And in the situation with this one white lady, I had her to describe the women in the family. She was being abused by the white women in the family. So her own kind was abusing her. They were blonde hair, blue eyes too. She confirmed that. But the reason they was abusing her was not just because she was pretty, because they were pretty as well. She stated that they were pretty, but they had the weight. So see, people will do that. They jealous of her weight. She was normal weight, slim built. So you can be abused because your body type is normal or different than the women in the family. So I've already pointed out to my sister. One day my sister called and she explained that my grandmother didn't like Keisha, which is one of Sammy and Kristen's sister, which is a group of 5 sisters that were all best friends with my sister. So my grandmother hated Keisha. So I asked my sister, I said, was she light skinned? Tina said, yeah. I said, well, there you go. My grandmother said something to Keisha like, that lipstick make you look like a hoe. My grandmother didn't like that Keisha had dookie braids or whatever, which is the big box braids. But at the same time, you don't really have no right to talk to her like that. It's not your daughter. It's not your daughter. Why are you calling Chris and Sammy them sister a hoe? But it was color related. So that shut that down. When I asked my sister, was she light skinned? It's a pattern at this point. My grandmother did not like light skinned people. She didn't like us. That's why when James was laying up there dead, she was abusing me even when she took me to go see James' body. When you dead, y'all, let me tell you something. How you know somebody don't like you and hate you. She left his body uncovered instead of taking the white blanket and covering James. See, the day my grandmother and I, it was her dark-skinned lady, let's torture the light-skinned people day. Because one thing she know was that I love James. So I'm 13 years old and she takes me. Thank God I'm clairvoyant and I already knew he was dead. She takes me, asks me if I want to go see James, like he's still alive. I could have had a complete nervous breakdown, but thank God my gift of being clairvoyant, I already know when he didn't come back and it's past midnight that James is deceased. He would never not come back. So if he's not coming back, he's deceased. Okay, so we go see James' deceased body, and she just leaves him exposed. Okay, so I'm light skinned. I get to watch a light-skinned man chest bare, and I get to watch this real dark-skinned lady not cover him up. She does not like skinned people. And the video that my sister sent me when the restaurant was closed, when my grandmother was interviewing with Sammy Davis Jr. brother, which is Watt Davis. He was the brother of Sammy Davis Jr. He was the estranged brother of Sammy Davis Jr. To see how my grandmother was staring at Watt Davis. He was a very dark complected man as well. My grandmother was darker, but he was about maybe a shade or two lighter. My grandmother and sister have beautiful complexions, but they are insecure women. They don't really know how pretty their skin is. I know, but they don't. So it's what they don't that keeps them racist, right? It's a form of racism. So if my sister felt like she had a better experience when she came back from Alabama, being in the restaurant while it was closed, me and my daughter had left. You know, me and my daughter, we were really high yellow. Okay. We would be considered high yellow to light caramel. Okay. So what I would do if I was my sister, she may lack this ability, is not ignore that I am a different complexion than my grandmother. She should consider that that's an issue. There's nothing wrong with doing it. It don't mean she got to hate the lady, but that could be a dynamic. So before my sister came back from Alabama, I had already cut out of there. I had escaped the situation. But you got to remember, me and my high yellow daughter, we upstairs in the residential area. Mitch is dark caramel. The caramel that's the closest you could get to chocolate. And then my grandmother's real dark skin. Okay, because remember, it's summertime. So one step outside, it don't take her to be outside long for her to get, more melanated, right? It's beautiful to be that way. But it's not beautiful when you don't appreciate it, right? But the white man taught them that that's ugly. It's not, but, the average dark-skinned lady, like my grandmother, would believe that shit. So what my sister could do if she had more empathy was maybe think, well, my grandmother treated me this way, but she's kind of acting different and more distant with Irene and her baby. Maybe it's because they're light-skinned. Maybe she doesn't like light-skinned people. Also, I was of smaller body size. Maybe she's jealous of her weight as well. It could be a number of things, right? But I never go against my intuition and what I feel because I'm 99.9% accurate. So I do suspect that it goes further. I suspect that when my sister takes up for my grandmother, it's because my grandmother is really dark skinned. See, my sister looks more like my grandmother. My mother was dark skinned, but not as dark as my grandmother, but she was chocolate, but I look like my mother. You see the difference? So this is the thing too, when somebody doesn't like your mother, even me being light skinned, my grandmother would see my mother in me. From my perspective, I'm not going to judge, and I normally don't compare ladies, but I'm going to be honest. I think my mother was prettier. I'm going to judge it because it's my mother and grandmother. So I think that from natural beauty, just natural beauty, my mother was prettier. That's my perspective. And I'm not saying it because my mother was a lighter chocolate. For one, when you're that miserable, like my grandmother was, it takes away from a lot of your beauty. It's a mean person just won't win the pageant. They got the mean smug. They got the flat effect, schizophrenic, lack of emotion in their jaws and lips. My mother was hyped up. She's a Leo. They're hyped. They're hyped. Very hyped up, right? So she's a ball of energy. Okay. So I'm talking about my mother, my biological mother. So So Tina, she explained some areas where it seemed like she could have got a little better treatment, and she seems to take more of a liking. There's a compatibility there, and I think it's skin complexion, a skin complexion issue. Also, I will notice before I left St. Louis, I wasn't having a problem with Auntie Bardia. I wasn't having a problem with Paul. I wasn't having a problem with Shell. They're light skinned to caramel complected. Pay attention to this dynamic. It means something. Okay? It means something, y'all. What it means is that there's a potential person in the midst that's actually hating or disliking you and treating you unfairly and abusive because you're light skinned. And it's a really sad situation. And I don't experience it a lot, right? I'm gonna be quite frank with this. Um, the average really dark skinned person, and I'm talking about Africans, right? So let's start with the Africans. If they're really dark skinned Africans, they have asked me to come back to Africa. Okay, so dark skinned people, usually they won't see, like, they see I'm light skinned, but they don't want to count any mixture. They just like, you black, come on back. We need you in Kenya. You know, I think you need to come on back to Kenya. They don't even really know if I'm fucking necessarily from that part of Kenya, but this is how Africans treat me. And I'm talking about very dark skinned Africans. And it's weird to me because a motherfucker that's born and raised in the US, what race are you? Well, that's funny because this dark skinned damn African from West Africa, he know what the fuck I am. How the fuck do you not know? And we was born and raised here, but you know, most people will know what I am. But people will think Filipino and black. Some people have thought I was Jamaican. You know, people have thought I was from East Africa, like I'm Ethiopian or Somalian or something like that. It's just different things. I don't really care. They usually will get the black bloodline right. Some Italians had thought I was part Italian and black. So, it just depends. But and I'll, run it by my sister. I've already been kind of working my way up to that. So I'm gonna tell you something, y'all, about my sister. She's becoming more of a fact finder now. See, I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't see an improvement in her life. See, it is an improvement in someone's life when they become a person that's able to notice facts. Because guess what? They leave mild retardation and now they're no longer retarded. See, my sister, she didn't have our mother in her life enough. And that creates some mild tardation. It does. It makes them delayed, especially when there's no intervention and somebody else filling that role. So that would hurt my sister because she wasn't at Shell House enough. She wasn't at Merlene House enough. These empathic women houses, she wasn't with Shauna's mama enough. And there could be some, mild discrimination there. You never know. Maybe these light-skinned, the caramel complected people should have been saying, bring your little sister with you. Who knows? The discriminatory stuff can go on both sides. It truly can. Actually, my little sister has said once before that she felt like certain people didn't like her because she was dark skinned. But it can go the same way with me. So with my grandmother, it was a color complex. That's part of what was going on. Because I explained Mitch complexion. He was like the darkest caramel, closest you could get to chocolate. My grandmother was basically, it was like we was living segregated. They're living in the downstairs of the restaurant that we're not supposed to be there anymore because it's closing. And myself and my high yellow daughter, we're upstairs in the residential part. And maybe it was some jealousy of that too. Because number one, whether the restaurant is closed or not, I knew that we should still sleep in the residential part. The restaurant is the restaurant, right? We shouldn't be sleeping in the booths. But Mitch and my grandmother, they was acting like some old traditional slave Negroes. Like they still in the back cabin. We's free now. You don't have to sleep. My grandmother had a big old king size bed. Okay, you don't want to sleep in it, Granny? Well, I'm gonna be sleeping in it. Me and my daughter was chilled. We went to the king size bed. I didn't feel as comfortable being in my room so much because it was so dark in there, right? But we was in the king size bed while Mitch and my grandmother slept in the booths. Wasn't no air mattress or nothing like that. Tina told me they were sleeping in the booths. That's fucking crazy. No wonder they was in a bad mood. Oh, maybe that's what it was. Maybe it wasn't because we light skinned. Them big old Negroes, my grandmother one too, sleeping they big old asses in the booth. Yeah, I would have been motherfucking cranky too. Them two Negroes should have came and got in the big king size bed like me and my high yellow daughter. Okay. And I mean, it was just a very unique situation that I'm glad I survived. But there would be my grandmother, from my perspective, I feel like she was telling me all along what some of her issue was when she waved her hand in her face and did a rounding, a circle motion. And she told me, Irene, some people will hate you for this. She meant your face. So I told y'all in one video, narcissistic, sociopathic women, they telling you too. They're always telling you why they hate, what their motive is. They speak it. Their souls can't hold it. It's coming all out of their subconscious mind. So that's basically what it is. So my sister, she just needs to learn, when people are not close, you just shouldn't be in the same house, and you don't have to stay there or be there. If you're not close to someone, you just don't have to be subjected to that. You really don't. Let me check these comments. I wonder what that question was. I'm just going to call that person. That guy behaved, Ava C behaved like a troll. Sure did. Ava C behaved like a troll. Hold on, I'm getting caught up on the comments too, y'all. Hold on. Why is this screen not moving? It's just stuck. Natalie, you see how it does the wrench now? Okay, hold on. Checking. I'm getting caught up on comments, Natalie, and everyone. And again, thank you so much for the likes. And Natalie, the channel moderator, I appreciate you coming in. It's like I talked you up, huh? I'm like, boss lady, like now I'm like, I ain't gotta be fighting with you. I got a worker to fight with your ass. Don't abuse me since the moderator not here. Natalie, do you still see 6 likes on your end? I'm just wondering how this thing is working. So does it still say 6 likes on your end, or did that change? Hold on 1 second. Just checking the comments. Yeah, it still says 6 likes. Okay. So it's showing something different on your end. And it may reflect that when the live ends. It's interesting because the last live, it showed 4 likes, then one went away. But then when I went back and reviewed the live, it actually added an additional like, and it ended up being 6 instead of 5. So it changed it on me. So maybe someone didn't unlike it. Um, maybe YouTube, did something with that. I don't know. So now I'll kind of, since you're telling me that, Natalie, maybe when a like goes down or the like changes just by one number, I won't just assume someone unliked it, if that makes sense. Because I be thinking somebody unliked it, because I went off about that and got kind of, it triggered my anxiety. Because, while I'm talking, someone's like lowering the number. I'm like, what? And I already don't get a million views? Are you serious? How you gonna take my one extra like away? Have mercy here, right? So yeah, so that's how I be looking at the situation. Okay, so thank you for telling me that. And 5. So, but it's 6 likes if you see 6. So you would be showing the correct number. So oh, Natalie says this is an interesting take on things. Natalie says I see the shield. What's the shield? Natalie, you said you see the shield. Natalie, thank you again for thanking me for all that I do. Thank you for the emoji with all the pretty 3 hearts on the face. That's beautiful. I love your online signature. Um, so Natalie says at Vish Wanate Sai 7974, please like the one stream. Um, Natalie says this allows for reflection. So hello to Vish Wanna Sing 7974. Thank you so much for participating. Oh, so oh no, I'm showing the wrench. For me, it shows the wrench. So it shows your name and it has the wrench. Yeah, so remember to go in the Gmail. For me, it's still showing the wrench. So I don't know what the shield means. That may you need to go in that let me see if I could find that I think this tablet's out. Yeah, I'll do a separate live about that. But it's the moderator video that I told you about. So it would be in your messages notification. I think they would send it to your Gmail. So just check all your Gmails. Okay, the Gmail for the account. So for your account, so at Natalie-X5Y1R, that account has a Gmail connected to it. So they would send it to that Gmail. Because some people have like 5 or 6 Gmails. So YouTube is going to start sending you moderator information to the Gmail. They're going to treat you just like they do content creators. So, and I actually have a Patreon account now that I don't know how to use, y'all. and they coincide your Patreon account on, it's hooked in with your YouTube some kind of way. But check this out. I happen to check an email, right? I got this message from the Patreon from some mentor or trainer named Julie. I don't know how the heck to use Patreon. It's so challenging for me. But Julie said I wouldn't be able to continue to see stuff on Patreon without clicking on this email. And I went in there. It said I needed to merge the accounts or something. It said it needed me to connect the email that I use on YouTube with that email. And I did it, and it let me back into the Patreon account and let me download a Patreon app. It sure did. So it's kind of the similar thing for the moderator. So this email, this training video said that you have to click on something in your Gmail to continue. That shield might be the notice. That shield may mean check your email. On my end, it says Natalie's in blue, Natalie 5Y 1R, and it has the wrench. So for me, it's showing the wrench. But the shield may mean for you, because it says it will send it to you, I think, within the first month or something. So you've been moderating long enough, so it wants you to do that. So just check your Gmail and just start checking it maybe once every 2 weeks, because you will start getting anyone that participates with any volunteer work on YouTube, where you're considered part of the YouTube platform as a moderator or a content creator, paid or not. Either way, you will start getting Gmails. That much I do know. And even if you just start a personal channel, if you just start a personal channel and don't upload anything, you start getting Gmails. So just go in there and check your Gmail account that is connected to this account. Okay. You're at Natalie-X5Y1R, and then I see the wrench. Okay. So the wrench is on. It's blue. The wrench is blue on here. And what you could do to see that, Natalie, is go in from a different device. I don't know how you would do that. See, any device you go under, it's still going to show you the moderator. I don't know. But for me, it's showing the wrench. I like seeing the wrench more for some reason. It just makes me feel more comfortable. I like seeing the wrench because I don't know why there's not a wrench sometimes. I just don't know why. I mean, I wish I knew the answer to that. So thank you so much for the smiley face. So yeah, that phone chronicle and stuff was pretty neat. But yeah, it's oh, then my sister mentioned on the phone, this was not on the phone chronicle, but she mentioned that my grandmother and I should have apologized to each other. I didn't do anything to her. I didn't do anything to her. I didn't smother her with a pillow. I didn't throw her down on the floor. And yeah, that's a philosophy that they have. Apologize to the abuser. Apologize to the abuser. My sister can't name anything I did to her except escape her. See, I covered myself. That's why sometimes silence and no contact. When I finally called my grandmother and, let her know for sure that I was going to stay here on the West Coast, that's when she wished pure death on me. She wished that I have a horrible life. All because I escaped her. See, right there, it shows you she wasn't treating me right in the first place. So, and the part my sister mentions, this has been assassinated on my character for many years. This one part. My grandmother was very intimidating. And I wasn't used to her really asking me many questions. Like my sons and I, they're used to me asking them questions. I'm a real mother. But I didn't have that bond with her. So my grandmother asked me, why did I want to leave? So at 17, you got to remember, at 17, I'm not the content creator. Okay. So for one, I started answering the question too quick. Be careful answering questions quick from abusers. What I should have said was, I don't know. Probably the best answer, but I didn't say that. I said it's no more money. What I meant is it ain't no love here. And what I meant is that this is not an environment that the child needs to be in. My 1-year-old, almost 2-year-old, there's no money here, so we can't pay our light bill. There's no money here, so the water's unsafe. There's no money here, living on a generator. Okay. There's no money here, so there's no proper air conditioning anymore. So what that meant for me as a Scorpio is that we can't provide properly for the baby. But remember, when you're having conversations with a narcissistic sociopath, especially one that's acting kind of retarded, y'all, their communication is not assertive, and they don't re-question. She could have easily said, well, what do you mean by that? What do you mean I don't have any money? What does that mean? That could have went a different way. But instead, she went off and she reaching for her pistol. She ready to shoot me because I give an improper answer. My baby's sitting there too while she's doing this shit. See, when you act like that in front of 1-year-olds, I think you badass out your fucking mind. See, despite how even aggressive I can be sometimes, I still got good motherfucking sense. So see, people that do that shit in front of 1-year-olds, I think they bat out their damn mind. And I don't see why they flipping out, because just re-ask me the question. One time my sister called me and we did this video chat with Zach, her friend Zach. My sister was setting me up too, Zach. He was her good friend, chocolate brother, co-worker. We was on video chat. I love Zach. Tina said, my sister said, yeah. She said she was leaving our grandmother because she ain't had no money, trying to paint me as a gold digger, which I am not that. So what I did, I calmly on the video chat, got calm. And I explained to Zach the same thing I just explained to you. I said I was only 17. I had a daughter. I didn't mean it like that. My grandmother reached for her pistol and snapped out on me. I didn't even get a chance to fully explain myself, Zach. You know what Zach said? He looked at me through the video. He said, oh, your grandmother was gutter, huh? He called her that right in front of Tina. Tina was on the video chat too. My sister's co-worker called our grandmother gutter. Zach spoke volumes right there. See, to a lot of families, they actually had a sweet grandmother that had self-control. So remember, not everybody thinks that shit is normal. So what I got from Zach on that video chat is that he felt like my sister, not my sister, but my grandmother handled me improperly, being 17. He had empathy, so he was able to listen to the situation. I didn't mean it that way. But I had sat up there on the narcissist hours, up there alone. So that was the first thing I blurted out. There's no money here, because that's all we had left. Because there's obviously no love. But this intimidating lady is just asking me this intimidating question just out the blue while I'm sitting right across from her at the table, like we're in like a Godfather movie. While Italians are showing up at the restaurant to threaten to kill Glenn Lee, because Glenn Lee was my grandmother's adopted son. Remember, he was the drug addict. And Glenn Lee, he died of an overdose. My sister and I found that out. So Glenn Lee was half Irish, half Italian. So the Italian Mobster guys were coming in the restaurant telling my grandmother that Glenn Lee owes them a lot of money and they're going to kill him. But the Italian said, my daughter and I teared up, and the Italian said, let's stop talking. The kids are getting upset. And the kids they were talking about was myself and my daughter. We're the kids. The two kids are getting upset. The kids with an S. They might have thought she was my little sister. I'm not even sure if the Italians knew that she was my daughter because I was a big kid myself. So that's how that went. So you let me know if it's a healthy environment to keep a 1-year-old in, where there's mobsters coming to drop by to find who they gonna kill. There's no electricity. There's no love. Generators are extremely unsafe. You can get carbon monoxide, and we all wake up dead or be dead by the morning. The water became unsafe. You can't boil water. There's no food. A restaurant that used to have a whole steam table now has no foods. The rats that used to be in the St. Louis alley, these were big alley rats, right? They left the neighborhood as well. And I talked about this in another video. That's when I knew it was a wrap for that place. I took my daughter, I said, let me walk around. I walked around the neighborhood, walked up the alleyway. You know, St. Louis had vicious alley rats. So if your business was in front of or had the alley behind it, I mean, those alley rats were like big as cats. None out there. They're not hanging around the alley no more and the garbage. They just look like cats going in the garbage because there's no longer no food. Yeah. St. Louis, even right now today, St. Louis has the biggest alley rats in all God's creation. Okay. They alley rats are so big, you think it's a cat. You're like, damn, why are these cats walking down the alley? That's weird. They're not cats, they're rats. Or sometimes you might mistake it for like a raccoon type figure, but they be rats, y'all. And so all of them went away. You didn't see them walking around. Because, you know, even if they didn't come in the restaurant, they walked all around behind the alley. You know? So my daughter and I, we decided to take a stroll around the neighborhood. We went up the alley. We did a good walk around. And I could walk all up and down that alleyway in the Missouri alley, off Olive Street in St. Louis, Missouri. And I didn't have to be scared of being attacked by an alley rat because they left. So I determined that's what I should be doing. That was my final decision, that I will be leaving and I'm getting the fuck up out of here because the rats left. So if I don't leave with my daughter, that means I'm dumber than these rats. And I knew that I'm a human being, so I should be smarter than the alley rats. The alley rats, they moved on. Maybe they went to New York. I don't know. They might be in New York right now. I don't know where the fuck the rats went, but I got the fuck up out of there. I got up out of there, and my sister did say, you know, she understands that I had to leave because I had a daughter. The issue with my sister that is a major problem is her, what do they call it? It's a word called individuation. It's where you recognize someone's an individual. So she always has me in the wrong role that I shouldn't. Natalie, yeah, the rats. Yeah, Natalie, she says, so even with all that information, she believes you should have stayed. And she doesn't necessarily say I should have stayed. She's actually said, also, let me point this out. My grandmother, because I work with her on facts, what my little sister has been doing lately is she snitches on my grandmother. So my sister has said that my grandmother told her, I probably would have left too. Yeah, my sister admitted to me that my grandmother said that. Now, my grandmother wouldn't tell me that, but my grandmother told it to my sister. Yeah, if I was Irene, I would have left too. And she would have. My grandmother left Alabama. And my grandmother left Alabama for one of the reasons I felt uncomfortable being in St. Louis. St. Louis, Missouri is not a state that you want to end up in poverty. One of my highest concerns was ending up in a St. Louis project. I'm not a project girl. Okay. I visited, just like I go visit prisons and jails if someone's incarcerated, right? But does that mean I belong in the prison or jail? Does it mean I should become an inmate? It's the same way with the projects. I don't like those type of environments. It's too many robberies. I'm not knowing if I'm gonna come back and my stuff gonna be in the house. You just don't know how it's gonna go. And so with my sister, it's a lack of understanding of why it's happening. Like she finally understood. I want her to ask the question. Ask the question. Get it off your soul so I can explain to you why. She has to look at it from a different perspective if she views me as the child's mother. I had a daughter. I cannot stay. I stayed around long enough. 3 to 6 months is long enough. 3 good months is long enough to have your 1-year-old, almost 2-year-old living in those conditions. 3 months is long enough to be living in a condition where people don't talk to you or your daughter. Like I told my sister, if you're in an environment and somebody not talking to you, you should leave. They don't like you. See, you never know what death date I avoided. What if I would have stayed? Hypothetically, you can't put anything past somebody that's already attempted to kill you 3 times. You got to look at all these like potential killings. When she smothered me out, when she threw me on the ground and straddled me in her business and was on top of me, and when she reached for her pistol, when I didn't answer her question the way she wanted me to answer it. Those are all death dates. This is not a good grandmother that you should be engaging in much longer. Also, there's no good times. There's no, we eating dinner together, we getting along. Actually, that would have made it worse. I'm glad there wasn't many good times because, see, that would have put me on that domestic violence wheel, the honeymoon stage, the violence, the insults. I would have been on that domestic violence wheel. So the good thing about my grandmother is there is no honeymoon stage anymore. So you got to be badass out your mind not to get the fuck up out of there. So what if I would have stayed and Mitch and my grandmother said, fuck it, we killing these 2 kids up here. We had more and more parents and friends of the family. We had one 300-pound lady killed a little girl, sat her out. She was a friend of the family that came over to help discipline the girl and sat on that girl, killed the little girl. All of them in prison that was at the house. But what if I would have stayed and Mitch and my grandmother would have came upstairs and they would have just shot me and my daughter? See, my sister don't want to think like that. I told my sister it felt unsafe. That was a dangerous situation to be in. And this is why right now to this day, like when my sister and we stayed in the motel in Texas, she's acting a fucking fool in there. But see, I'm not my grandmother. My sister showed out, but I showed out too. I showed out to where her friend got her an airline ticket to fuck up out my motel. Because I'm not my motherfucking grandmother. You're not getting ready to pick me up and I always have people available. The worst thing my sister could have did was jumped on me in front of my three sons and my cousin. My three sons and my cousin and my sister, we all in the same motel room, January 2023. My other four family members that are in there and myself are not getting ready to let me get seriously injured or hurt. All of them stayed out of it. My cousin, my son stayed out of it because nobody's hitting me or beating me, right? Yeah. But see, she stayed with that narcissistic sociopath. See, that's why I'm a better person, because I left. At least I know only to get violent in self-defense. Okay? But I freed myself of that narcissistic sociopath. That's why it's better to leave early. If you stay around till you 19 or fucking 20, you've stayed too fucking long. Now she's taking on that lady's nature. She's taking on that lady's nature. And my sister's not spiritual enough from my perspective. So let me let you hear it again, y'all. The message I left.
Y'all, I am back again for another live.
Listen to the message.
So, y'all. Family members will say things. So I'm gonna start here. I'm gonna start because with my sister, we've gone through these rodeos. So I'm gonna start here by allowing y'all to hear the messages that I will leave. And that's the only way. My sister will have to listen to the messages and just sit on the messages. So I'm gonna start, okay?
Please leave your message for.
Hello, Tina. I sent you the text messages and stuff as well. So this is the thing, Tina. Sometimes you hold in stuff in your soul that you may feel like you need to get out. So you got that out. You said that I left my grandmother when she was down. That's the way you're going to paint the picture. You know, our grandmother was good at that too. But the fact of the matter is, Tina, I had a daughter, and the environment was very emotionally corruptive. That entire summer, that last summer I was there with our grandmother, all she did was sit downstairs and talk to Mitch. She constantly ignored Snooky and myself. See,
and I want to point this out. What did I just tell you? See, remember death dates. It's not always your time to go. I want to point this out, and this ain't to scare you. And I'm not schizophrenic, but this is something I will not know to this day. What were they talking about? What was Mitch and my grandmother's demonic ass talking about? Oh, they was talking about something, but I will never fully know that question or the answer to that, right? I will never know. So, see, when you are dealing with unspiritual people, remember Mr. Jones. I'm supposed to do a separate video about that. Remember Mr. Jones before the restaurant closed? That old man that came upstairs out the blue? 60-some-year-old man, mid-60s. I am 16 years old. He's talking about marrying me and I need a man. I don't know. My grandmother knew he was coming up there, but I don't know if she. I talked to one of my cousins about our perspective of, was it Mr. Jones' idea to come solicit me, or did my grandmother send him? See what they do with little girls, pimps. They take pretty little girls. They give you this line, oh, you got a baby, you need a husband. But that's a trick. They make the little girl think she's going to be a wife. And then next thing you know, you wake up and you got trains being ran on you and they're selling you. So that's a pimp thing that they'll do. They'll make you. Yeah, exactly. So Natalie, yeah, I did share that. So, but I'm supposed to do a separate video about it. The Mr. Jones video, that's a whole separate story. That's his own hour video. But see, she owed Mr. Jones money. My grandmother was a greedy, unspiritual woman. And I want to point this out. Before my grandmother owned her restaurant, do you know what she was? Did I ever tell you what my grandmother's fucking line of work was? Before, not just the ownership, she owned the restaurant 40 years. Yeah, thank you, Natalie, for saying you're sorry I experienced that. But it's the reason I'm so knowledgeable today. You know, but I want to point this out. My grandmother was working for the Irish and Italian family, which would have been Glenn Lee's parents. She was Glenn Lee's nanny and the cook and all of that. So my grandmother was the big boss dog running the restaurant before she was the owner. The restaurant was wheeled down to my grandmother from the Italian family, okay? Because she was taking care of Glenn Lee, basically love bombing, making it seem like she gonna be good to Glenn Lee. And you see what happened to Glenn Lee. He ended up full blown on drugs. And, you know, I know that my children are kind of like addicts, right? So don't get me wrong. It's not always all the parent fault, but a parent can contribute to someone being on drugs. But keep in mind, my children are also not on crack and heroin. Not yet anyway. But if they keep going, it could lead that way. But Glenn Lee just had too many enablers. So my grandmother, she owned a restaurant 40 years. She owned the business and everything. The building, I mean, that was her building. This is not a rental. So, okay, she did good in that area. But prior to the 40-year ownership, she worked for Glenn Lee parents. But before she started working for Glenn Lee parents, have I ever told y'all what my grandmother was? Natalie, answer that question. I don't think I've told y'all the secret. I haven't exposed that part. I told y'all she tried to sell a little drugs when they was on Whittier, and I said something to her and she stopped that. Okay, so let me tell you more of what she was, so you will understand why I'm thinking this way. Because the last thing I don't want you thinking I'm over exaggerating anything. So I have to tell you the background so you'll understand why I'm having this conversation. So before the 40-year ownership of the restaurant, because remember, my grandmother owned this restaurant before I was born. My grandmother was like 50 years older than me. I did not have a young grandmother. I had a grandmother that's 50 some years older than me. So if I'm 13, my grandmother's 63. So I have an old grandmother, okay? And I'm not saying that like that's bad. I'm just letting you know that me and this lady are not near the same generation at all. So before my grandmother had the restaurant 40 years, before she was working for Glenn Lee parents, before the restaurant was willed to her. So starting back to when my grandmother came from Alabama, when she was struggling to find work. So my grandmother was a madam. She was a pimp. A madam is a female pimp. She ran hoes. So bitches worked for my grandmother. And so my grandmother was pimping hoes out. Had them in limousines That was my grandmother's line of work. So you got to look at a person's background. So when Mr. Jones came upstairs and propositioned me when I was 16, I'll do a whole video about that because I came downstairs and I talked to my grandmother. I will let you know the whole situation with Mr. Jones' wicked ass. I was safe. I was safe. I got him up out of there. But what happened was, as I got older, I started watching Unfiltered Stories, and I started watching how girls are trafficked. And some of the stories, it was like the Mr. Jones comes up, right? And the family was sending Mr. Jones up. So, see, a greedy, ungodly person, it is very dangerous when you are a beautiful little girl. Girls and boys now seem to be in the same danger. It is extremely dangerous for me, being a light-skinned child too, and a pretty little girl with a pretty little girl, being up around this demonic grandmother and that man Mitch. So you got to ask yourself, this is something I will never know. I will never know what they discussed downstairs in the restaurant while myself and my daughter was upstairs. So with this being said, what if I would have stayed and part of their discussions was to catch me off guard, come up there, one on point a pistol on me, Mitch take my baby, and they traffic my baby, and then come for me, take me and my baby. See, you just never know what you're escaping, because that would be a death date, right? Many people are not trafficked because they left. Perfect example. Let me tell you. Oh, I was just talking about this. Me and Isaiah, sometimes we'll talk about the movies. We're talking about Scarface. Who was the most blessed person in the Scarface movie? Only one survived and got the fuck up out of there and lived out their days. Who was it? Who was it that missed all the shootouts? And it wasn't Scarface or Al Pacino's sister. Remember, Al Pacino's sister could not stay the fuck away from Scarface, her biological full-blooded brother. Remember, the mother told her to stay away from Al Pacino. Remember, she ended up being brutally shot down. But who was the one who is in Scarface? Scarface, the movie. Who was the blessed one? The person was a fighter too, stood up for themselves. Can y'all think of who it is in the Scarface movie? It proves the value of no contact. It proves that if you go into no contact, you will miss a death date. You will miss a death date. It is the most powerful movie that shows the value of no contact and getting out sooner. Can y'all think of who? In the Scarface movie, who's the blessed one? It was Michelle Pfeiffer. She got into it with Scarface, her husband, because remember they had got married. Michelle Pfeiffer. What was her name in the movie? Y'all remember? She played Michelle Pfeiffer was just beautiful in there. She played, what was the name? Elvira. She was Elvira Hancock. Michelle Pfeiffer name, and Pfeiffer is Pfeiffer. Michelle Pfeiffer. We all want to be her. We all want to be her. And I'm not talking about her cocaine addiction. But in the movie, when she got into it with Scarface, and he was telling her her womb was polluted and she couldn't have babies, she went the fuck off in that restaurant and she ghosted him, told him she didn't want to deal with him. And next thing you know, remember, Scarface was calling back to the mansion. Al Pacino called back to the mansion in the Scarface movie asking where was his wife at, talking about Elvira. Michelle Pfeiffer played Elvira Hancock. Okay, or is it Hancock? Let me see. Let me make sure I'm saying it right. Hancock. I said it right, Hancock. So she played Elvira Hancock. I'm going to screenshot that. So she shows the power of no contact. So what happened was Michelle Pfeiffer didn't wait a long time. She hadn't been married to Scarface for years and years, because remember, he took her from the other drug dealer that got unalived. Remember? So Elvira played the role of kind of like a cocaine addicted gold digger, right? But it wasn't worth it for her. So when she got into that restaurant dispute, she got out of there. So because she did the no contact pretty quickly, she was the reason that she went no contact. That act of her going no contact as soon as she did is the reason she didn't end up being slaughtered in that mansion, because she wasn't coming back and forth to the house. So that Scarface movie shows the value of no contact. So you just never know what demons are up to. So also, I protected myself in another way. I told my grandmother that I would be back. Remember, I couldn't leave there safely. She's pulling her pistol. What you don't want to do in a situation like that is get kidnapped, or they're holding you in a basement or like a cellar. There was a cellar type space in that restaurant too, way down up under the ground where James used to go and fix stuff down there. There was a place that Mitch and my grandmother could have put me, and nobody ever knew I ever existed anymore. So safety over everything. If it's an unsafe situation, grandmother or not, you can say, I'll be back. Oh, I'm just going to visit. I'll be back. It's okay. Safety over everything. So they could have been planning, okay, well, we gonna sex traffic them when they come back. You never know what demonic spirits are up to. You're just missing a death date. And my grandmother had the background. Now, she wasn't a madam and pimping for a long, long time. She got out of that pretty quickly because my grandmother wasn't the type that liked penitentiary sentences. And, you know, during that era, pimps and stuff started going to the penitentiary. So my grandmother, that was just something she did temporarily. But I just want you to know that that was something that my grandmother got involved with. Female pimping. Okay. And that's not safe for little girls to be around. That's what you call prior history. Okay. And so I got out of there. So I don't know. I know that the mood was wrong. I don't know what Glenn Lee and my grandmother would have been talking about. Not Glenn Lee, Mitch. Not Glenn Lee. Glenn Lee was her adopted son. Mitch, her friend that was hanging around there. James never liked him. So you just don't know what they're cooking up, right? So the problem with somebody like my sister is she doesn't understand how you can be a target and somebody be extremely dangerous to one person, but maybe not as dangerous to her. Okay. You know, people won't understand the targets they pick. They just won't understand it. And she's also a target too, because anyone knows that you can send this child back to their parent, right? But see, my grandmother didn't want well for her. I never would have brought a child on Whittier when I know that they parents, my mother and my sister's father, both lived in safer environments. I would not bring you with me to Whittier and start selling some drugs on the side, not watching you, instead of sending you back to your parents. I just couldn't do that to a child. You don't need to come with me to the projects. And your parents don't live in the projects. But my grandmother, she doesn't place people. And everyone, I figured this out too. Everyone that my grandmother didn't place, she has some sort of envy towards them, inclusive of my sister. She's jealous of my sister too. She sure is. Nell Carter is our cousin. Nell Carter is blood related to us from my grandmother's mother's side, along with Condoleezza Rice. That's my cousin as well. The government official, Condoleezza Rice, the light-skinned lady, that's our cousin as well. Those are relatives that come from my grandmother's mother's side, the Rice side of the family. Nell Carter was the actress. Condoleezza Rice is the government official. I met Nell Carter in person. I have not met Condoleezza Rice in person, but she's still my cousin. When I look at her photo, I got the same little lines, like the little lines we got across our neck. It's crazy. The identical lines. I was like, shit, that's my cousin. I can see spots of Condoleezza Rice that's on me. I sure can. So, yeah, so you just never know how it could have went down. Mitch was trying some funny stuff with my sister too. Mitch, that man that was at my grandmother's restaurant while it was closing, he was like a child predator, like a child molester. Remember that nigga died from getting electrocuted. I talked about that in a video. I sure did. And I talked about my perspective of why he died that freaking way. So yeah, the devil got him. The devil got him. Because Mitch knew what he was doing. He knew that my grandmother was losing that restaurant, and he was not a spiritual man. So he's not going to say, you know what? Forget it, Miss Nettie. You losing your restaurant, but look at them two beautiful babies you got up there. Go get your babies. It's not going to tell her that. Envy. Even if he had told her, that doesn't mean it's going to work. Mitch had nothing. He didn't have a closed restaurant or open restaurant. He didn't have a granddaughter and a great granddaughter that was around him. All Mitch had was his cruel spirit. I didn't speak to that man at all. Then my sister told me, I don't know if she remembered many years ago, she told me Mitch told her to sit on his lap and, tried to do some funny stuff. And she got away from him. But see, my little sister is younger, right? She's 5 years younger. So her intuition won't be the same as mine because she is younger. So she's not going to discern stuff at 10 like I will at 15. However, it's not just that. Even right now today, she doesn't discern properly. Remember I called it in another video, a broken gift. So remember, narcissistic sociopathic women and girls and ladies that take on their spirit, they have a broken gift. Just like when I asked my sister the test question. Remember the test question was, why didn't I let my daughter hang around my grandmother? Why didn't I let my grandmother babysit my daughter? Why didn't I let my grandmother babysit my daughter? My sister thought the answer was because she was working a lot. No, the lady felt unsafe. When you feel that someone is unsafe, it's true. When my grandmother did that to me when I was 9, when she told me to go lay down, it felt unsafe. It didn't feel safe. But see, at 9, if someone was to do that now, I would say, no, I'm not doing that, or I just wouldn't do it. But at 9, you don't think you have the right to say that, or you don't. I felt in my soul something bad was getting ready to happen to me. So my discernment, when I feel something is unsafe, I am accurate. And what happened? I did what she told me to do and got myself smothered. Because see, she has me laying down. If she tries to do something to me while I'm standing up, I'm going to run from her. Okay? Or try to escape. But when somebody gets you while you're laying down, before my grandmother lost all that weight, she was a big old lady. That was a big lady. I was a little bitty little girl. So she always felt unsafe after that. Those would be my memories where I would remember going forward, she felt unsafe. She just felt unsafe. And so it's a reason she feels unsafe. It's because she's unsafe for me and my daughter. So my sister, I do that. I ask those test questions with those people to get them to kind of use their thought process and get them to elevate their mind. So my sister said, I didn't have her keeping my daughter because she was working so much. No, that's not why. It's not why at all. I didn't have her keeping my daughter because I didn't trust her, my grandmother. And so it will be hard for someone like my sister, because what she would have to do is take herself out the situation and stop comparing her life she had with my, which is nothing but her enabler. That's all. It's just her enabler. So she would have to separate it and come to the conclusion that everybody is not wrong about this lady, right? It's kind of like the situation with Miss Anita Ann Grayson, the 75-year-old lady that got unfortunately killed at the coffee. And remember, my grandmother, I told you how she died. They unalived her. Because remember, my grandmother assaulted the nurse. And I gave you the scenarios in that video of how it could have went. Did the nurse do it on purpose? Was it an accident? I gave you the different scenarios. But the doctors felt enough about what my grandmother did to the nurse that they felt a need to break the law and deny her medications that would keep her alive to kill her. So see, this is what happens. Your time runs out. Narcissistic sociopathic ladies, they assault people all the time. They've been doing it for a long time, like Miss Anita Ann Grayson. Yeah, it's unfortunate. She's 75 years old. But remember, on the one video, her old victims, which would have been her stepchildren, her stepdaughter was this one lady's mama. So Miss Anita Ann Grayson abused vulnerable, and I guess they might have been disabled. So Miss Anita Ann Grayson, that 75-year-old lady, she abused her husband's daughter and granddaughter, right? So this lady comes out saying she happy, Miss Anita Ann Grayson. She's celebrating that the white girl unalived her because she's expressing how Miss Anita Ann Grayson abused her, okay, and another relative. Okay. It's in the playlist. Okay. So the thing is, they have a history, same way with my grandmother. What I do know is that my grandmother will assault you without you hitting her first. So the thing my grandmother said, the nurse dropped her leg or something, right? I never got the story from the nurse. See, once you are known as a person that hits first, and that's kind of like your norm, we can't necessarily trust the story. Leg down gently, and because my grandmother felt pain, she thought she dropped it. But from the view of it, doctors, oh, they get rid of a lot of predators, baby. Remember, I told you about my ex father in law. Remember the doctor? I talked about that on that video. Remember that doctor told my ex father in law that he hated him? Remember how he died? All them medications missing, and the doctor just let it go. They cremated him and everything. This device is going out. It's doing the overheating thing. So I got it kind of like in front of this fan thing. Hopefully it doesn't. Yeah, sorry about that, y'all. So what I was saying is doctors unalive a lot of predators in the medical field. And some doctors that are psychopathic unalive empaths as well. But you gotta view, especially these care doctors and nurses. They bond. There's some of the greatest empaths. And you know what? You know why the doctor would have did it? Yeah, fine. You've assaulted one of our nurses. Did it? Yeah, fine. You've assaulted one of our nurses because you claim she dropped your leg. Yeah, sorry about that, y'all. Yeah, sorry about that, y'all. But a lot of times for a lot of narcissistic sociopaths, the end of their road, yeah, because the tablet's overheating, Natalie. So I think I'm gonna end up. I mean, can I do this and let it sit for 5 minutes? 5 minutes, then I could come back and it's not overheated because it's gonna keep buffering. Hopefully it doesn't go out again. I don't know, why does it say -8 minutes? I don't know what that means. Allowing me on here. So yeah, what I was saying, y'all, is that doctors, um hold on. Doctors, and it's not right. It's unethical, but doctors, especially in hospice care situations, life, many doctors will be the reason that a lot of narcissistic sociopaths will get their karma. That's where their abuse cycle will end. And some of them will do it silently for different reasons. You know, they don't want a facility where the patients think they can just beat up the nurses, right? Um, I never got a chance to talk to the nurse. I don't know if the nurse did it on purpose or whatever, but it's another person that my grandmother grabbed or assaulted without thinking. So see, when you're in those kind of facilities, she's no longer the restaurant owner. So there needs to be some control. And you know, narcissistic sociopaths, they will always lack that control. There will also be other things at play: undiagnosed tardation, like I said, I'm going to be doing the series on that. So the sociopathy alone, because of the lack of empathy and the way they think, will create some forms of tardation. It will, and delayed thinking, and they will struggle with getting mature again and stuff like that. So, it's just the end of the road where it's only so long before it catches up with you and somebody eventually gets you. Okay. So you just got to look at it like that. It's doctors have a lot of power. And see, when you're in a facility, you can't just change doctor, a different doctor and get your medications. Okay. It's complicated. So thank you so much, Natalie, for saying that I'm buffering. And thank you so much, Natalie, for saying that you're sorry I experienced that. It's just sharing and learning. And I like when Natalie said the rats. Wow. Yeah, just little details like that. But we all got out of there. Them alley rats was gone, and so was. Oh, Natalie says break time. Thank you, dear. Natalie, you did an excellent job moderating today. Um, Everyone else did an excellent job listening. So thank you for staying tuned into the video. And I don't know why it's saying, this is the first time I've seen it say minus. It's doing like a countdown where it's telling me I got 5 more minutes for this live. And I'm going to listen to it because I don't want the live to disappear, right? So if it's telling me I only got 5 more minutes or minus 5 minutes and 1 second, I'm going to listen to it. It's saying get off of here in 4 minutes or the live may disappear. And I don't want that to happen. So, yeah, so that's pretty much. Oh, no, you can do, Natalie. I'm not paying attention. You do what you need to do. Remember, as a moderator, you got stuff to do. I be multitasking myself over here. So you're welcome, Natalie. Each live is different. Um, yeah, so you're fine. I'm not. I'm not a micromanager like that, right? So I'm not hard to work with. Seriously. Yeah, I'm really not. You can't. People won't help you if you're hard to work with.
Betrayed empath is more dangerous.
Oh, here's this. Oh, this says betrayed empath. Listen to this, y'all. Fair use.
Betrayed empath is more dangerous than a narcissist. Let me tell you how. A betrayed empath is a person who no longer has fear left in their body. They know how to survive alone, eat alone, live alone, rebuild alone, and keep going for months or even years without anyone standing beside them. There comes a point.
I do like sports bras. I got this really good one, Natalie.
Want to
So
financially sabotage them? They will
I
start
just
from
bought it
scratch.
too.
You want to smell
It's a
their name? They
Reebok
will wait
brand,
for
right?
9 people to see
I
the
love
shoe.
Nike,
And even
but this
if
is a
nobody
Reebok.
promised they would
See
still
what I do? I
rather
get
stand alone than
I
ever
get
go
the
back to the pain of
sporting
betrayal again.
dresses and stuff that
That's what
already
makes
has
a
the bra
betrayed
in it
empath so
now,
powerful.
and it's been more
They're not
comfortable. So
just
what I
dangerous
buy
because
is
they
the
become cruel. No,
this.
they're dangerous
It says
because
a betrayed
they
empath
become
is more
unshakable.
dangerous than a
A
narcissist.
narcissist
So I
survives
buy
by
the
creating.
sporting bras. I'll have to look at the name. Oh, you said what? Oh, you didn't mean bra? Oh, you said please before you go. Oh, so what do you mean? Natalie, I'm sorry. I'm so silly. And now it's giving me 2 minutes on here. 2 minutes and 42 seconds. Natalie's silly. So we have some funny moments on here. Oh, you're welcome, Natalie, as well. Oh, either way, the nickname, some YouTubers call me advanced. So they just use the first letter. But when you're communicating with me, you can just call me advanced. Yeah, so advanced. And then just yeah, so just add you can add the D on there too. I announce myself as Irene. So y'all know I'm Irene, but it allows some level of privacy to not keep throwing it out in the comments. So in the comments, just say advanced, just in case some old weirdo comes. So yeah, so that's how. Unless we're communicating by email or something. It actually took me a long time on here to start telling people my name. I waited a long time. I did videos for years and I never announced my name. Yeah, exactly. So just say advanced if you want to call me by name and add the ED on the end. Yeah, good thinking for safety reasons, you know. So it's going out, it's giving me 57 seconds. So what I want to do, I love y'all. Please like, share, and subscribe. But I want to close out before I lose the live because this is YouTube saying, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Tune in for more right here. Thank you, Natalie.